All right, if you just joined us or you still with us, this is still Enterprise Weekend. We reached from Enterprise Television. Now let's get to our main conversation for today. Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi SAN has started the No Nigerian Law Prevents Minors from Facing Criminal Charges, including treason.
He made the claim during the opening of a new office for Law Corridor in Abuja, addressing concerns after a federal high court in Abuja ordered the release of 114 end bad governance protesters, including minors, previously detained by the Nigerian police.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had directed the AGF to facilitate the release of minors arrested during the protest, driven by compassionate reasons rather than legal requirements, as he emphasized empathy towards young individuals.
Very true. Fagbemi stressed that the minors weren't released solely due to their age and reiterated that the Federal High Court holds jurisdiction over treason-related cases. A Law Corridor founder, Barrister Pelumi Jacob Olajegbesi, highlighted the importance of respecting the rule of law and advocated against incarcerating minors for activism.
He acknowledged the government's compassion in releasing the protesters and called for legal partnerships to strengthen Nigeria's justice system. Additionally, Minister of Information Muhammad Idris announced that the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction would manage the welfare of released minors, aiding their reintegration with families. That's what we have for today. Let's have our conversation. And doing that, we have from Saitama in Japan, John Akerele. He is a public affairs analyst, and Francis Nwapa. He is equally a public affairs analyst. Good morning to you, gentlemen, and welcome.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good morning to the viewers.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Beautiful. I would love to start with you, John Akerele. It's close to 6 or more days now since the minors were released, and according to the report we have, they were released from compassionate ground, not legal reasons. But should this be the discussion we should be having at about this time in Nigeria, rather than tackling the root cause of what even caused the problem in the first place?
Thank you very much. Once again, good morning to all of our viewers all over the globe. On this note, let me say thank you to Mr. President. For once, he has made me happy personally as a young Nigerian. And he has made me to be proud of the country called Nigeria once again by, showing that fatherly role, that he is a father, a grandfather, and even a good grandfather. But beyond what compassion the president has shown is, let's look at the issues of the matter. Now, these children, he said they are minors, have been arraigned in court. Now, people are saying, does it mean that those age range of those kids should be arraigned in those courts? Don't forget that in Nigeria, we have different cadre in terms of courts. We have different courts with different jurisdiction. And what some people are saying is that for those age of those children, we are not saying that they cannot commit crime. If they have committed a crime, there is a particular court that can argue or adjudicate judgment on their own issue based on their age. That is where the case of prohibition comes into place. So we are not saying as minors they can be criminals. As minors they cannot be charged for criminal offenses. But it cannot be in that same federal high court. Rather, there is a family court that attend to such issues and matter. There is a juvenile court that attend to such issues. If those courts were not created, we would have said, oh, there's no room for minors to be tried. Having said that, does it now mean that the legal department of the Nigerian police force do not know all of these things? At the other end, are some people who are saying, just like the counsel to the federal government, saying to all of us that some of these children are married men, some of these children have wives, some of these children are adults. And I see where that sarcasm is coming from. Let me take you aback. During election time, you see that we have pictures and videos of children who are underage, so-called minors, voting. And when this narration came that these are minors, people said they are not minors, they are married men. People said they are not minors, they are adults. So I think the counsel to the federal government is reminding all of us that if they are adults when it comes to voting and electioneering time, now that they have committed an offense, they are not minors, they are still adults. That is where that sarcasm is coming from. So for me, I look at it that what he is saying is trying to point an arrow to direction that we should be careful. That in the case when it's voting time, they are adults, but when it comes to crime, we say they are minors. But the far and large is that everybody should go back to the drawing board and ask critical questions. The Nigerian police force, have we done our own part? There's nobody that is beyond mistake. And I want to, on this platform, say thank you, to the leadership of Nigerian police force. For once, they have, given that prompt action in terms of responding by organizing workshops, to educate their own men, their legal team as to how they can try issues. And these are the issues we're talking about. Now, another angle to this discussion is also to the respect of the rule of law. As to discretion, Mr. President has used his own discretion as a father to say, let these children go. Now, people are also saying respect for the rule of law. So the question I want to ask you in the studio and all of us who are all over the globe is that, can you say with your full chest that our political class have always respected the rule of law?
Thank you.
And if our so-called fathers and elites have not shown that leadership in respecting the rule of law, how much more, what legacy are you showing to the younger generation? What legacy are you showing to the children? Because the children are learning from their fathers. I'll stop with that note.
Thank you, John Akarele. Over to you. I want to ask, looking at the way the minors were released, because there is a contrast, Francis, if we would go back and look at the videos of the minors that were arraigned in court and those that were released, there is a strong difference. And a lot of Nigerians are asking, are these the same minors that were arraigned that were actually released? Now, looking at that video, I believe you've seen it, Francis. So let's start from there. Can we say, yes, the federal government at this point are being transparent and those that are in charge of holding these minors have actually released the said minors that have been detained for 90 days?
Well, let me start by saying that the moment the Nigerian government, or rather the moment Nigeria signs an international treaty, Nigeria has put itself in the window of the world and cannot unilaterally breach that treaty without incurring the wrath or the frowning of our international friends. That quote was made by Justice Kayode Esho. Having said that, Nigeria is a signatory to the Convention on Children's Rights and also African Charter on the welfare and rights of a child. And so the Nigerian government has failed woefully and has embarrassed itself by what transpired on November 1st. Not only that children were detained for over 90 days, children were arraigned in courts for what? For protest. If you are to go back to what the AGF said, he is trying to divert the attention and make the picture look as if it was out of the benevolence of the president that he had to order the AGF to take over the matter and order the release of the children. But no, Nigeria has contravened in international treaties, and there is no way that the international community will not frown on the despotic regime or this despotic regime that has not only clamped down on peaceful protesters, but has continued to undermine the civil space. The right to protest is enshrined not just in the Nigerian constitution, but also international laws. You can observe what happened, how children were being arraigned, not just being arraigned, and at the point where children, they were asked, the court ordered that they be released. The state governors started playing as though they were coming they were against all of this, coming to receive the children. These were state governors that all through the period, during the August 1st to 10th protests, we heavily repressed. As I speak to you, we are all aware that in Borno State, 19 protesters were still arraigned during the week, and 3 out of them are children. And so, when you look at all of this, you will see that it was due to the pressure that was mounted on the government and the embarrassment that has been caused on the government that has made the government to ask for the release of these children, not out of the benevolence of it. Because when you read the statement of, when you listen to what the Attorney General said, he said that the High Court has the jurisdiction to try those kids on treason. And so it means in the conviction of this regime that those children actually committed treason. And one of the charges, if you look at their charge sheets, they alleged that they were holding prepaid meter. In their possession, they found fire extinguisher. They found their call logs. Are these the equipment and the things used for committing treason and toppling a government? It shows in the first instance that there are no charges against all of these children. It is just the attempt of the regime to continue to clamp down on protesters, to continue to undermine the civil space of Nigeria and criminalize protest.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. John, Francis had really highlighted so many interesting things that I think it's very important that we look at. As much as you have, of course, praised the benevolence of the president to have done what he has done, Francis is saying the benevolence doesn't really, worth its salt, because already damage has been done internationally and so on and so forth. So is it right to say that the president, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is somewhat haphazard when it comes to policies, decision-making, actions? And is it possible that we would have a repeat of such kind of shame on a Nigerian soil, especially with things that regards the way we act and the way we do things politically here?
And I like the passion in which, my elder brother, Mr. Francis, has spoken. I share so much, in his passion. And I want to say thank you for your expressions. However, you see, the embarrassment this administration and the political appointees have caused Nigerians in the past 1 year is enormous. There are times that some people want to impress the president. They want to show to the president that we are working. But the work that they are showing the president is even damaging the reputation of the administration the more. The question, I keep saying to you on this platform that the problem with Nigeria as a state, as a country, is accountability. The question I'm asking now, who arrested those children? Question one. Who is the IPO that arrested them in charge of that case? Now, who arraigned them to court? Question 2. Question 3. How come that the children that were arraigned in court are different from those that were released? Where is the register? These are pertinent questions that people are not answering. And that will tell you the systemic error and maladministration that has bedeviled our institutions in the country. And so these are things that we should look at as a people, not even the president now. The president is not at the police station. The president was never in court. The president never saw those children except for the footage and videos. But people were at different junction handling different responsibility. Now the question now is, who is held accountable? Who? Not even one person. And so we must get back to that point as a country where there is a face to actions, where there is a face to consequences. If you say, oh, this is John is the one that arraigned those children on behalf of the federal government. Now let John come and answer these questions. What are the charges you are filing against these children? Let John speak for himself. John is not a ghost. And that's what I'm saying to the Nigerian authority. If you have done this, we agree you have done it. Let's start that action of putting name, face, responsibility, and consequences for your actions and inactions. Then that will send a strong signal to every, surrounding, that for anything you do, you have a name, you have a face, and there's a consequences for your actions and inactions. Now let's go to the issue of policy. It is clear, without saving words, that this administration have just been doing what we call in mathematical terms, try and error method. If you know that in mathematics, let's say S is 1, and then we do the calculation. If it's 0, we are correct. If it's not 0, we say that means assumption. Assuming is equal to assuming. Then assuming. Now it shows that what they are doing in terms of policy making are not things that they have thought through critically. Looking at, if we bring in this policy, what are the pros of this policy? What are the cons of this policy? What is the adverse effect of this policy if it is implemented? How can we ameliorate, reduce the consequences of this policy on Nigerians? Now, these are not a think tank team that have done that very well for me. So, they bring up the policy is not working, they get the uprising, so that shows that they don't have their house in order. So, there have been so much policy somersaulting, there have been so much policy, that lacks articulated coordination. And so, this also is showing. But one thing I want to beg this administration. We are all humans. And to be human, you can make mistakes, including my humble self. We are all prone to mistake. When you make mistakes, the beauty of leadership is to own up to your mistakes, tender an apology, and make a way forward. We see you as a good leader. It's not weakness. It's a strength that this administration should start imbibing. If you build up policy, Nigerian service policy is not good, go back to your table. As a Nigerians, we listen to you. We are here because of you. And now we are going to retain this policy, amend it, and then come back to you again. Not that coming on different fora and giving different reasons why this children are not minor, giving different reasons why this children should be arranged in a high court. We don't need to support anything. Is wrong. Go back to the drawing board and make adjustments. And let Nigerians smile all across the board, either young, old, Igbo, Yoruba, or Hausa, or any party come from. The thing is, Nigerians should work for all as hungry.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And Francis, over to you now. Please just add this to your parting shirt. Looking at the international body and Nigerians signing that particular bill, which they have fallen short of. Now, what is the best way to handle this, and how well can Nigeria position itself globally, looking at its current shortcoming with the current case of the minors?
Well, there is nothing the president wants to do now that wants to save his face. A country is best defined, judging from the way they treat their women and their children. Nigeria have shown over time, the Nigerian society has shown over time that we have no respect for women and children. And the government came out to justify it again. Just like my brother referred to the lawyer the prosecuting lawyer of the police, who was trying to justify why minors should be arraigned and that they are not children, they are adults. And you saw a follow-up of such when Muyiwa Adejobi, the first PR rule, came out over the weekend to also justify that the Nigerian police has the right to prosecute children under 7 years, within 7 years of age. And you saw this, this continual show of shame when the AGF, an attorney general who is supposed to know the law, that Nigeria is a party of certain international treaties, even if there are no local laws, which I know there are local laws that protect the rights of children, and an attorney general could come out, I mean, shamefully, to defend, instead of having such an opportunity to apologize to Nigerians for what has happened. He defended the interests of those who employed him, and this is very, very, I mean, this is very, very disappointing and saddening. I will also remind you that in 1988, certain children were convicted of armed robbery, and the then understanding in the court, in the tribunal, the then understanding was that after such a conviction, it is only the then military governor in Lagos State that could either sign, such a conviction or allow them to go. And the then military governor, Raji Rasaki, immediately signed for the execution of these children. And Barrister Femi Falana, then SAN, went to the tribunal in Ikeja there and filed a case. And at the end of the day, the judge, the presiding judge, Justice Longe, declared that the state should stay clear and allow those children to have a fair hearing. And that is during the military era. If a military era, we could have that during the military era. Under a civilian government, we should have a more civil way of taking care of treating children, minors, even when they have committed a crime. In the first instance, these children did not commit any crime. They only participated in a protest to demand an end to hardship, that they are hungry, that their parents can no longer feed them. As I speak to you, it wasn't just that these children were only picked from places like Kaduna and Kano and taken down to Abuja. They are in various states like Katsina, Yobe. Children were also detained. And speaking based on my capacity as the National Secretary of the Youth Rights Campaign, because we reach out to so many of these persons reach out to us of how they were detained. In fact, in Katsina State, we had people who were detained for 53 days. In Kaduna, we had Khalid Aminu, who was abducted by the DSS and detained and was released just of recent. As we speak, we still have over thousands of people who are being detained. And there is nothing this regime want to do to save it. If you are saying you are dropping charges of treason against children because of international pressure, what about Comrade Michael Lenin, Adaramoye, and so Monsieur Sadiq, who were also abducted and arrested for the same protest? Are you saying that because the international pressure mounted on you to drop the charges on minors? What about these other people who are also being prosecuted for treason because of their participation in the end bad governance protest? And so you will see that the intention of this regime is just to criminalize protest. And let's not also forget that this regime is planting a legacy for itself. Tomorrow, November 10, we mark another celebration of remembrance, rather, of the execution of the Ogoni leader, Kesaro Wiwa, who was fighting for environmental justice and was arrested and charged for treason and was beheaded, was killed by the state. That is the legacy of Sani Abacha. Is President Tinubu trying to lay such legacy for himself by executing those who participated in peaceful protests to demand an end to hunger and end to hardship? That is the question that President Tinubu have to answer.
Thank you so very much. John, in 60 seconds, if you may. This is actually becoming very interesting. Do you think President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is aware of all of these things happening under his administration, especially going from what Francis did say, the historical facts that he, of course, has, submitted here. How worrisome do you think this is, and what could this damage be to Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the future? In 60 seconds, if you may.
I think for me, political class and the political leaders must understand that power and position is transient. In 2019, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, with all due respect, was not a president. Now he's a president. In 2030, will he be a president? The answer is no. And so at that point in time, he will become a normal citizen just like you and I. And so, if he's also remaining right to hear his own view as to governmental policies in terms of protesting by saying, no, this policy is harsh, and they clamp down on him, how will he feel? Will he be happy about that? Don't also forget that this same president of our nation, is a protester, a chronic one for that matter. If you go online, you see different pictures and videos of his own protests. The Occupy Nigeria protests, is that what we talk about? The days of Nadeco, the June 12 protests, and all other protests that, have emanated where he has been a very strong candidate. As a matter of fact, the spirit of protest in me, emanated from looking up to the lines of Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a protester back then. And so for me, it's a sad day, looking somebody who is a legend to me in terms of protest, now a president of Nigeria, suppressing the voice of masses. And I want to say to Mr. President, you are a protester, and I'm your mentee, also a protester. And I know that at this point, you should not suppress the voice of the people, because the voice of the people is the voice of God. However, when people speak, I think you should know that it's not all of them that want to overthrow your government. They are speaking to you on issues. So look at the issue they are speaking about. If they are saying the policies are harsh, ask yourself, go on the streets, ask your governors, ask your councillors, are they also saying the same thing? They will tell the truth. That Mr. President, people are crying on the streets. And that shows a president that is listening to the people, to the plight of his people, listening to their voice and doing what they need. It's time to be a good leader.
Thank you so
much. The should understand. He is not the first president, he won't be the last president, but he should leave a good legacy that children yet unborn can read about him in history and say, God bless Bola Ahmed Tinubu. God bless Nigeria.
God bless
Thank you so very much. That was a very, laudable one. With the future, with our history books, record Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a leader that should be mentioned in the likes of Nnamdi Azikiwe, Awolowo, and so on and so forth. I guess this is an opportunity they have to make this happen, but unfortunately, they are not taking advantage of it. We'll have to say thank you so very much, John, for being part of our show today. We appreciate you. Francis and Waba, thank you. We truly do enjoy your historical background. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. All right. Thank you. That's just about the time we have for today. We'd love to say thank you to you. We want to believe you enjoyed this just like we did right here in the studios. But please do well to visit us. You can always find us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Ikwebike.
And I'm Choma Okohe.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.